Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. On today's episode of conventioNOT, we invite Chris Harris, aka DJ Scrilla, back onto the show to co-host with Ryan and I. You may remember Chris from a few episodes ago where we interviewed him for Game Ready. We had so much fun chatting with him, we invited him back. I know, it's only been a couple weeks, but seriously, we figured while we're updating everyone on our quarantine status that Chris could offer a fresh, new voice from the Midwest. Beyond the realities of our day-to-days, we also wanted to uplift a bit. And for me, few things are more inspiring than hearing about the hard work and the hustle of guys like Chris. Yep, he's been making music in this downtime. I don't think he knows what downtime is. Hopefully we can entertain you guys for a bit. If not, maybe a distraction? I'll take what I can get. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Most importantly, stay distant.
This cry cut thing that Anna and Nemish bought made the sticker, or all kinds of stickers. We all went to Jamaica earlier this year for my 40th birthday, old man shit. And so prior to going to this all-inclusive vacation place, honestly, just pre-coronavirus, we all cut these stickers off of this cry cut thing. So you can make all kinds of stuff. Anna and Nemish are way more experienced with it. So they make I don't know, man, Nemish designs these multi-layer 3D architecture designs and buildings and things,
Really?
cutting foam core with it. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Shout out Cry Cut.
Shout out.
Yeah. My mind is blown, dude. I mean, that's it's 3D printing on a 2D level, right?
Kobe's not my guy, but I do feel for him.
Sorry, I don't know why that made me laugh. You feel for him. All right, hold up real quick, because it's just you and I talking, and there's a third individual here that I wanted to give a quick intro to. We're just doing a quick, hopefully not too quick, but this is a kind of Ryan and Mike episode. But we wanted to invite our friend, former guest, Chris Harris, DJ Scrilla. We had Chris on the show just a month or two ago. And to be honest, I had never even met Chris before that. And we all hit it off so well that we thought we need to do that again. I mean, why not? So we invited Chris on the show today, and he's gonna co-host with us.
Here I am, fellas. Glad to be back.
Welcome.
Thank you. This is super exciting for me. I got such a great response from just people sort of just in my circle about your podcast, and I'm just really happy to be a part of it again. So let's get it.
That's cool. We're always trying to round out the way that we present our content to people. So I think the opportunity to welcome a fellow creator to the table is certainly part of it, right? Plus, who else is going to weigh in on the fucking Mamba when Mike disagrees with me that Mamba...
It's just a difficult
I know you're a hater,
conversation to have. Well, I don't want to. I'm not a.
I need to hear this. I need to hear this.
You do need to hear this.
I was never a big fan of Kobe. The person, I just for some reason, I'm a LeBron guy. I love me some LeBron, and I know Kobe obviously preceded LeBron, but for some reason, I never fell in love with Kobe. And I never questioned his greatness. Not at all hate on that level. I just, he seemed like an asshole, and I feel bad saying that now. Rest in peace, the poor guy. But yeah, I never really liked Kobe the dude. And it seemed like he was really getting way, way, way better at being the dude in these past few years. So I do recognize the loss. It's not by any means to minimize that. McDivitt and I always go back and forth because he thinks just because I don't absolutely love Kobe, everyone I didn't know that, but apparently everyone loves Kobe. Yeah,
Well,
I just
well, let's touch on that a little bit. I mean, I like Kobe. I'm definitely a LeBron guy. So LeBron is always going to be number one to me. But there are some players who they were great players, but just didn't really like them. Didn't like their personality.
yeah.
Yeah.
The first one, Rasheed Wallace.
Ball don't lie.
You don't like Rasheed Wallace?
Listen,
Oh,
man.
man.
I just couldn't stand him. Every time he would talk, he was funny, but
Right.
he was just like a thorn in our side, especially during those first LeBron years. And you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to remind folks, right? Chris is an Ohioan and Ryan and I are Michiganders. So like, don't get me wrong. I always thought Sheed was like kind of entertaining. Again, never doubted his skill, talent. But I wasn't a fan of the dude until he became a Piston. Like he's that guy for sure.
Yes.
Like until
Just
he's
like-
on your team, till he's on your team though, man. No love.
Man,
Kevin
I
Garnett. Kevin Garnett is another one too.
Yeah, for
don't
sure.
like
yeah.
him.
KG's. I'm not.
Until he's on your team. Joakim Noah, he's the third one. What about Isaiah Thomas? Now we're gonna take it back a little bit.
See, that's fitting, man, because everybody's talking about Isaiah this week, right? We got The Last Dance on, and we promise folks we're not going to talk about sports this whole episode.
Pistons are giving
but-
pushback on the Last Dance, which I
Well,
think
that's-
is unique. But
That's why
we can
everyone's
hopefully come to
talking Isaiah right now. And all right, just a quick. So The Last Dance is this documentary that's out right now that's chronicling the Chicago Bulls' famous sixth and final championship winning season. In their build up to becoming the empire that the Chicago Bulls were, they had to basically overcome the Detroit Pistons. And late 80s, early 90s. Ryan and I are kids in Michigan. So like as
Bad
they were
Boys t-shirts,
as
all
they
nine
were
yards.
called at the time, the Pistons were called the Bad Boys because, and again, I apologize because this is probably our listeners that know all too well. And those that don't know, maybe probably don't care. But basically the Pistons they epitomized growing up in Michigan, to me, what I thought was just like a blue collar kind of, we may not have all the talent, but we will outwork you. We will out hustle you. And if we need to, we might be a little dirty too. And like,
It's always
that's-
been our brand.
we might punch
right,
you.
right. That's always been our brand, man. Like, yeah, right. Even the Rasheed Wallace years is we might punch you, man. Like,
It was,
come on, man.
yeah, but
Yeah.
not on the Bad Boys level. I mean, the Bad
Mm.
Boys, dude, those,
I don't
the
know, dude.
Lambeer.
She's like low key, dude.
Has he gotten in a
forget,
fight
dude.
though in the NBA? Can you remember a Rasheed
Well,
Wallace fight?
No,
Not a
he's
full on,
more artful.
Now,
right?
I
more
remember-
artful than Ron Artest. He's
Uh,
low key Ron Artest though.
Was it Big
For
Ben
sure.
Wallace? Ben Wallace? I feel like somebody tried to test him once and he just went crazy.
No,
That's-
Ben Wallace was the other side of that
Imagine.
front court. Ben Wallace owns the Grand Rapids G League team, and so I will. I try to invite him on the show every so often.
someday.
Probably not listening, but
Someday,
yeah.
dude. Yeah, someday. So,
Yeah.
Chris, we were talking about those guys that you don't like them until they're on your team, and you named Isaiah Thomas, and yeah, like he's another one that like I just don't have. When you grew up, he was sweetness, like like we didn't in Michigan. Isaiah didn't have to do the dirty work.
Isaiah, I don't know how young he was when he got injured, but he ruptured his Achilles. I do remember as a young athlete, though, probably, I'm going to guess this is like early junior high, but definitely playing on organized teams by then. I remember the realization that like your career could be ended if you were hurt.
Well,
Like through Isaiah. I know
Because of
that was, like,
Isaiah.
yeah. And that's a thumbprint on a young athlete,
well,
Jeez.
I had my
But I hated that motherfucker.
dad regularly telling me that, like, you're not going to make a career out of this. Like, that was just like, okay, Dad, thanks for coming to my
Dad.
game today.
Thanks for the support.
Thanks, Dad. Who was your guy? So, like, obviously, it wasn't Isaiah. It was probably Craig Elo.
Oh, get out of here, man. Craig
Mark-
Eli.
Mark Price? Maybe
Hey, Mark Price. Hey, listen. Yeah,
You
Mark
balled,
Price.
man.
He
Price
was a
is
ball.
legit.
Really for Cleveland, it was about Price. It was about Wilkins, Larry Nance. And then when we got into sort of the early 90s or mid 90s, what was it? Terrell Brandon.
Oh, wow.
He was
You're
one.
dusting him off.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was
Bobby
the man.
Fields, remember him?
Yeah, Bobby Fields.
Yeah. Rest
You
in
guys have,
peace.
I hate to say it, but you've had a slew of lottery picks. You've had more big name like dudes coming out of college in Cleveland than we had in Detroit. You know what I mean? Like there was just pre-LeBron, there was some dark
pre-LeBron.
years.
Yeah. Well, post-LeBron, we've got some dark times right now.
It's up and down, up and down. Yeah.
Anthony Bennett.
I think here's my prediction on the Cavs. It's always laughable. I think that Quicken Loans has very well become established in Detroit on the rebound of the economy. I think he's going to come back and spend a lot of money to re-outfit that team in Cleveland.
You think
Gilbert.
so?
Yeah.
Gilbert?
I don't know why he wouldn't.
I mean, the talk around town is that he's just looking to get back to Michigan some way or another.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because in the past like year or two, haven't like him and I don't think it's Gores. Is it Gores that basically just threw a ton of money, not at any specific like development, but just like donating and giving a lot more to the Detroit area than he seems to give to the, Cleveland area?
Whoa, shit, man. I mean, did you ever go to Detroit, Chris?
I've been to Detroit a couple of times. Yeah. When I went, though, it looked like a ghost town. So
okay.
This is like old Detroit.
I get a real interesting perspective coming back. I probably come back 5 or 6 times a year, right? So like I've seen it over the past almost 10 years change. And so since Quicken Loans had its rebirth, that introduction of the rocket loan, if you guys know what I'm saying, it's a commercial and it's a rocket loan, rebuilt their infrastructure. I have a couple buddies who are kind of like, low-level execs there. Been working at Quicken Loans for years, right? And so he really, I bet he's put tens, if not maybe $100 million into the restructure of Detroit and the downtown area. But that being said, the sports teams in Michigan are not for sale, so to speak, right? Because it's really like the Ilitch family, which owns the Red Wings and the Tigers. And then there's this, I forget the guy's name that owns the Pistons. But
Gores.
Anyway, it's Gores. Yeah. So I don't know, man.
I do. It sucks when your team, you're just like, because the Pistons are kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, you can say it. Yeah, they're kind of like the Cavs.
They are. I feel worse because
irrelevant
the Cavs just hired a head coach and then fired their head coach like midway through his first season. So that is not a sign of good things. But I got a huge kick out of that because he's an ex-Michigan guy. He leaves Michigan hanging and then 2 months later realizes I've made a huge mistake. Hey y'all, it's Mike from the show. If you're hearing this, that means you already found us. If you wouldn't mind, take a moment. Let us know how you did find us. Maybe provide some feedback. And any and all ratings are actually very helpful for us. We're just looking to grow the show, expand our audience, and provide you with better and better content. Appreciate you all for taking the time. As always, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already.
Let's talk about the obvious, right? This pandemic that we're all adjusting to. But one of the things that I'm starting to do is finally get into a routine. I'm a very structured person, so I love having a routine. But of course, with working from home and not really being able to travel, my routine has been off. But now I feel like I'm getting into a nice groove with, when I eat, working out, reaching out to friends and family and just sort of establishing my new normal, or at least my new temporary normal. What about you all? How are things going for you two?
I would say it's the same for me. I'm conscious of all those things you just said there throughout time, but a lot of time I spend sleeping in a hotel room during the week. And so that becomes like challenging, especially when it comes to like the diet and exercise kind of a thing. So I think one thing I've noticed changing my body, first of all, one. Second would be changing my bank account, because I don't think I had any idea. And we talked about this like a little bit, but like, I don't think I had any idea how much money that we spend on takeout food. Like, no clue.
This is true, though. This is so true. I spend a lot of money on like personal grooming. So for one, I get a haircut every week. Okay. Sometimes I would get 2 haircuts in a week.
How much does a haircut cost, Chris?
Oh, man. I mean, it's like at least $20 to $22, $23, and then you tip them. So I'm probably paying close to $28, $30 a haircut.
Okay.
Holy shit.
That's to, get the regular haircut, also shape the face, line it up, and, you good to go.
That shit just went to 32 now that you got the beard, bro.
Man,
100 plus a month. Yeah, I didn't know. Like I'm really glad
just
you brought this up. No, I'm really
that makes
glad
sense,
you brought this up.
This is kind of crazy, but are y'all into getting manicures? Huh? Y'all take care of y'all hands?
I love doing that, but I don't get it done very regularly.
Well, I try to go. Now, I don't go every week. Now, I try to go like maybe once a month. I also, my lower back has just been bothering me this year, so I've been getting massage therapy.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I'm doing when I get out of this quarantine.
Yeah.
That's what you miss. No, it's that. And I like that. I like that you're open about all those things because, like, take care of yourself. And like that's the reality is right now we're all doing our best, but like at some point you ain't taking care of yourself the way you used to. So it's trying to get back to that normal or some semblance of it. But yeah, I can't say that I'm extremely patterned in my regular day-to-day. And I think kind of just the work that I do, the nature of my work, it's kind of like temporal. They need me to do a lot at once, and then I don't have a ton to do. So my workflow hasn't been incredibly interrupted by this, like my daily. But yeah, man, I'm longing for some hugs. And I seen a buddy at the grocery store the other day, and it was he was with his wife, and I could tell right away that like his wife, like she knows me and she knows how I don't know, I'm a hugger and I'm usually kind of loud, and like
she was nervous.
I could see the fear in her eyes, dude.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh yeah, like they were walking towards me and she took a hard right. Like right away, she saw me and she bolted down a
Is this a common thing? Is this just a quarantine thing?
I mean, maybe it happened. I feel like I'm noticing it more with the quarantine, but I don't blame anyone for walking away from me. Like I say that openly. I'm a bit much for most people. And now I'm walking around with a mask covering my face.
Yo, I do the same thing.
You can still tell I'm smiling. Like I understand why people are like, what the fuck is he so happy about?
You look like a retired goofy ass Navy SEAL walking towards me with a fucking mask on. That's exactly that's exactly what you look like. And especially if I don't know you.
Hey.
Right. Yeah. The beard
it's different times right now, so
that's right.
Can't take it personal, right?
Right.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I don't care. Like I'm like, okay, I'll tune it down a little bit. I'll try my hardest.
So I try to go to the grocery store super early. They open their hours up about an hour before their normal business hours. So I'm in there at about 6:30 before I start work. And the last time I went, I'm about to go down this aisle and no one's down there, and the cashier just lets out a
oh no.
So I just kind of pause and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just go to the other one. I didn't say that to her, but I just turned around my full cart and just went to another lane. Because you don't know.
No, and why
in
would
Ohio,
you take the risk?
they have the they have the sneeze guard?
They do have that.
Okay.
But the direction, the angle, I was like, you know what? There might be some droplets still floating out there. I'm gonna go this way.
No, I don't blame you. Why step into that? Like, I mean, you just advertised that I may get sick. I think I'm going to avoid this one.
It probably was like a smoker's cough, but still. And she didn't have a mask on at the time. But I'm like, yeah,
nah. It's not worth the risk. I think that's the new lifestyle we're going to live with now, because it'll be a mask will be a standard part of your like operating component, which I think is funny, especially grow up in Detroit, because there's always like this argument particularly for between like the Muslim culture and the Christians and the court system in Michigan, right? Because there's so many Arabic people in Dearborn, and so it's pretty much forbidden to like block your face, right? But now I think we're in a like real life scenario. Traditionally, you've been either considered a ninja or a criminal. And so there ain't many ninjas around now that the turtles are gone. So
Yeah.
I think like, that's going to be an interesting like adjustment real quick, right? I wonder if the government can still use that face recognition shit with the.
I mean, it's limited. It's not as powerful, right? Yeah.
You can't even get your
it's,
phone with a mask on. Try to
Right.
open your phone with a mask.
Yeah.
my phone doesn't recognize my face. Like it's looking for the bottom part of the oval and it's not finding it.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Exactly. No,
Otherwise,
I've learned
to
the trick
think about
though.
like. Oh, go ahead.
So like you pull the mask down, and then it recognizes you, and you hurry up and take it. And I can do it quicker than my phone can. I've learned how to do it.
What if you're flicking the coronavirus like up into the air when you pull the?
I mean, then it's already on me, and it's already in my car, bro. I mean, it's
Fair enough.
too late at that point.
It's too late. I'm trying to think of other things that I notice or that I'm curious about, like you said, Chris, from the change of the illness. I think that homeschooling is going to be a whole new thing.
Yeah,
probably not. I hate to say it, but I don't have a bunch of faith in people that they're going to pull that segment off. But I think that like the way that we educate kids is going to be a different thing.
I think there's no way we can wrap our heads around the changes. Like schooling, obvious one, healthcare. Like I didn't even know about that like remote stuff that was available, but within a month or two, now that seems like why are we always going to the doctor anyways? Like,
man, that's a whole other episode.
Right? I mean, that I know it's a very different episode, but I'll summarize
that one.
Chris, a couple weeks ago, so I don't mind sharing this. This is pretty personal, but I'm regularly pretty open and personal on the show. When it was at its very early stages, the COVID-19, at this point, no one in Hawaii there were no cases or anything yet. I had a little bit of a cough. And I've had years where a couple times a year I get bronchitis. And it felt identical. Like I recognized the symptoms, but basically, it was right as this stuff was starting to heat up. So that cough you talked about, the lady at the grocery store, like I was that dude for a couple days, and I'm like, I can't deal with this. In short, I needed to get better real quick. I wasn't suffering any other symptoms or anything like that. I was really, really confident I had bronchitis. Called my doctor. They're like, yeah, come on in. You're not suffering any other symptoms. I mean, at this point, it was still walk-in was okay. We'll get you. Looks like next appointment's like 15 days from now. I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. Like, I'm going to be, right. I'm still going to be coughing like this in 15 days. So, I mean, this sounds like a sketchy story. I thought it was shady because the next thing I did, man, I went online because I know the prescription that I wanted to get from my doctor. It's a Z-Pak, azithromycin, I think is the actual generic name for it. But it's like this 5-day pill pack. It's 6 pills. Within like 24 hours, you're back to normal. So I knew what I wanted. I go online, and I don't remember what I Googled, but the Google, one step later, it's this service that's just like, where are you? What are your symptoms?
Yeah, telehealth.
What are you looking for? And like, I the whole time, I'm still like, this is so sketchy. Like, there's no way the cops aren't showing up at any second or something. Like, I just didn't think that.
For what, your Z-Pak?
Yeah, and like, don't laugh at me, McDivitt. You're in the healthcare industry. I'm the dude who avoids going to his doctor. So right, so we're at opposite ends of the spectrum. But in the midst of this coronavirus, I realized that I almost said discovered. Like I discovered this thing that's been around and a lot of people are really aware of. But I wasn't.
Telehealth, yeah.
So, dude, Chris, have you heard? Do you know this is available? I put my shit in. I said what was wrong with me. I said what I wanted. And within a half an hour, I get a response. I get an email that says, hey, a doctor has taken your case. They're located in Portland, Oregon. A half an hour later, it's, yeah, your prescription's ready. It's really obvious now in hindsight. Like, yeah, why haven't I been doing this all along? But it wasn't until I really needed that service that I found it, you know? So, damn,
So
you
did
knew
you have
about
like
that
a
too, Chris?
face-to-face exam with them?
So this is it didn't even involve that. So that I thought was kind of suspect. Like, what the hell? There's just somebody in Oregon. There's just somebody in Oregon writing like scripts.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
But
licensed to write a prescription because you're a physician.
Yeah, no, I just mean like with no, I didn't talk to anybody. No one looked at me, nothing. I think it probably had to do with how specific I was about my symptoms, my familiarity with those symptoms, and like that I was looking for a Z-Pack, right? Like I'm sure there's a lot of drugs where they're like, no, man, we can't just send that to you.
Send you that, man.
If you were asking for Adderall, man, that shit wouldn't go down like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, telehealth, that was around before. Yeah.
But now it seems like they're doing like remote like appointments and stuff, right? Like that has picked up hugely in the past couple months, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what you can do now. Not even for just like your checkups and things like that, but, you know, mental health, right? Mm-hmm. Therapy, all telehealth stuff, man.
It's a better way to provide access to care for sure. I think especially with mental health, I think there's for sure that physical contact component of it and the energy that exchanges between people. In
that energy, though, I miss that. That is something I definitely miss.
So you have to have that familiarity probably with the person before you could develop that. But keep in mind, all of us were raised in the 90s too. So like we have a little bit different perspective. You know, there's a different kind of a way, I think, to work through that. But when it comes down to Z-Packs and looking and try to diagnose your common cold and that kind of stuff, it's way less expensive for the system and it's way less expensive for the physician and the patient to like use your app.
Yeah. No, it's a genius. I mean, it's awesome, and I'll use it again in the future.
You could probably use your own physician if you don't want to use some shady ass motherfucker from Portland.
Hey, doctor!
Shout out Mike, doctor
so and so. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, if we're talking about visiting your doctor on a screen, what about just your screen time usage in general? Are you all noticing that it's increased? I mean, my phone just let me know I had like a 23% increase this week.
Yeah.
And I'm usually always going down.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to check.
It's horrible. I'm not looking at those numbers. I know they're bad. It's like getting on the scale after a month-long vacation. I've been more open about it the last few days because I'm just like, I got to stop this, man. This is driving me nuts. I'm looking for something because I'm bored. I just going back to the same well, but it's tapped.
Yeah. Do you guys ever do this? Like, and maybe you do it with Instagram or for some reason with NBC Sports, the Pro Football Talk app. I'll open it, I'll read an article, I'll close it, and then I'll just open it immediately, like 30 seconds later. And
it's like a muscle memory thing.
Yeah. Like, what am I doing?
I do that with ESPN. Like, I'm like, in between hitting it and it coming up, you remember like what the breaking news was that you just looked at 30 minutes ago. My wife, though, she's got timers on everything. Like on everything, dude, on Facebook, Instagram, even like just internet, because she's thoughtful of these things. So she's like
her discipline and like setting boundaries.
She's real disciplined on that stuff.
I struggle with, especially, and this is even before COVID-19, just setting boundaries for myself with work. So I'll give you a perfect example. The other day after work, someone sent over a track where they're saying, hey, do you want to do a song on this? I said, yeah. Now, I think a normal person would just sit with it a couple of days, but I'm like, man, I really like this. I want to write it. I want to finish it tonight. So I finished writing the song, but it was still early enough where I could record at home. I decided to record the song the same day. And I do things like this all the time. Even if an email comes in at 11 p.m., I find myself checking it, responding to it. I got to do a better job at setting those boundaries. So what works for you all if you don't have the same issue?
I have zero boundaries.
Yeah, no,
I don't know that it
it's
works.
called being an addict, and it sounds like your
Yeah.
vices are much better than most. Like we've found this, right? Chris,
Mhm.
we talked to you in the first place because we saw your hustle and the level of success you'd made very much on your own, and we've met a lot of other people like that, and our conversations almost always include a point where they're describing their climb, and you're like, dude, that's not normal behavior, man. Like and I know Ryan and I have talked about it before. Like, is there a CEO that's not kind of an addict? You know what I mean? Like, is there a normal behavior that gets you to the top?
Mhm.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think there's certain sacrifices that you have to make
Mhm.
to achieve certain goals, right? I mean, you know, not to bring up sports again, but with Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, or even we could talk about Kobe Bryant, there were certain sacrifices that they had to make. Maybe, you know, they weren't necessarily nice guys to begin with,
Yeah.
right? And they were
Right.
assholes, but there was something in them that they had to do to be that great. You know what I mean? To get themselves on that pedestal.
Yeah.
So
So this, I don't know if I've ever really like put these into words before, but I don't have that meter at all. And so it's not always healthy for me. I do know that I put gas back in that tank by doing a couple of like self-help, self-care. I think those are kind of like two different things. One is like discussions and maintenance like this, right? One is the focus upon myself and trying to like meditate as much as I can. But it's pretty frequent for me to wake up in the middle of the night, check my email, reply to the email without thinking how that might like impact my coworker to get like a 3 a.m. email from me. Now that being
ever
said,
sleep?
right, yeah. That, and I'm a morning person too, right? So like to be fair, right? But like that being said, I also I just fuck man, I don't have an off on that stuff. And I
No.
don't think that's healthy. I'm fortunate that I have a partner who's like pretty tolerant of that. I think that like in her lifestyle growing up, she had some like high impact family members that are that way too. So she understands that a little bit. And that was a big part, I think, in like picking a partner for me, young when I did, but like, at the same time, I struggle with that very much so, becoming like a 40-year-old man. I'll be straight up honest about it.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
Particularly during the COVID thing. I feel like I have I've been very fortunate that I don't think struggled too much with like panic anxiety. But I very much so understand what like a well of anxiety is. And so, I find myself over the past couple weeks now, because usually I'm in an airplane doing different things and, very active careers, right? Like I have a job and I have a company, and then shout out Dirty Bear Coffee. I got this new like nonprofit thing I'm trying to fuck with, right? And so like those are my three channels that I'm moving on. But recently, last 10 days or so, I have noticed that I have this like well of anger, or maybe that was a Freudian slip. I have a well of anxiety that I can't diagnose where it comes from in my mind, and that causes me to go into a spiral. And
Are you all
it's not good.
are you all sleeping okay? Because I am not sleeping
Yeah.
well.
So I would say about the same. If I had to say
Same.
sleeping well, about the same. Yeah.
There's few things I'm as good at as sleeping. So that
How's your
has
sleeping
not,
impacted?
Mine, I wake up like multiple times throughout the night. It's really hard for me to go to sleep. I'll start to maybe get some anxiety or have like a mini panic attack before bed, which seems like the worst time to have a panic attack. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do, what I can add to my routine to just help calm myself a little bit. I think it's not really so much of just being in the house, but it's like some days I don't even know what day it is. You know, there's yesterday, there's today, and then there's tomorrow.
I've
And
experienced
these
that the past
days
couple
like
weeks.
all kind of run together. So I think it's just making my mind go a little haywire.
yeah. No, man, I think it's really good that you're open and honest about that shit, because everyone is like, you have your good days and your bad days, right? But like a lot of people are seeing that wall now. You know, where like there was 2 weeks ago, there was a little bit more of a well of like, no, we're I feel like people are starting to get real spread thin.
Hey, it's Ryan. You've heard Dirty Bird Coffee mentioned a couple times on the show, different episodes, but for sure coming up today with Mike, Chris, and myself. What I want to do is invite you to get your own sample of Dirty Bird Coffee, or maybe just contribute and support the nonprofit that it is. What we do is we roast coffee, we ship coffee, we got a coffee club, we got a store, we got all that kind of stuff. DirtyBirdCoffee.com. Right now, only for conventioNOT listeners, if you follow Dirty Bird Coffee on Instagram and message that you'd like a free bag, we'll send you a link so that you could get a free sample sent right to your home. That's Dirty Bird Coffee. Follow us on Insta. Tell us you want a free bag. Back to the show.
I guess Hawaii's impact compared to what's going on in Georgia right now, right? Like your governor was pretty keen. I know you want to talk about your governor a little bit, McDavid.
Let me remind everybody that this is the same governor that pointed a shotgun at his like alleged son-in-law on his campaign ad.
He did
last year. Yeah.
And he got yeah. That's your elected official. Yeah.
There was, I think there's probably also a subsequent investigation into voter fraud involving that dude. So, yeah, he's not super impressive, but there's a woman who leads Atlanta. Her name's Keisha Lance Bottoms. New mayor of Atlanta, relatively young, has done a phenomenal job, I think, of like being respectful to their like Southern archaic political structure in the face of this illness, because politics is one thing and illness is another thing. Yeah. I think that invariably we're getting way too much politics mixed with the illness. But here in Atlanta, what she kind of does is she gracefully waits for this joker to make an announcement, and then she comes back and kind of like fills in what she requests people to do. Gotcha. And by and large, honestly, people in Atlanta are like pretty observant of it, and they have been from like day one, you know. Huh. My CEO was super early in it. And so we were grounded on March 1st. That's the last time I traveled.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. Early.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they're like in Hawaii, I mentioned the quarantine. So the quarantine applies to any incoming, whether you're a resident or a visitor. There's a 14-day mandatory quarantine. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, you know, we're all going to be honest and just trust each other. No, man. If you're a visitor and they catch you leaving your hotel, there's been like arrests, like multiple arrests where basically it's, yeah, like, and I don't know the level of privacy here, but basically they're arresting people and they're saying like, you got shopping bags and like carry out food. You broke the rules. This is happening like daily here in Hawaii. They're arresting people and shipping people back to the mainland.
Interesting.
Our numbers, dude, we have less than 700 cases in the state of Hawaii. And like, I think our death total is less than 20. Like Hawaii was like, because the reality, dude, is, I mean, talk about a petri dish. It's not like, oh, this is going to spike here. It's like, no, we're going to be saturated. You know, like this is going to be just an exponential increase had it not been so kind of rigidly enforced early on. So I'm not complaining about it. I know I know a lot of other places have it so much worse, man.
We just get through it.
What's the tone there in Ohio?
In Ohio, the tone is a lot of people are pretty satisfied, I think, for the most part, with the governor, Governor DeWine, with Ohio's response. Our peak has not been as bad as it was first projected, so that's been a good thing. We are starting to see or hear a little bit of back and forth about when we're going to open back up, right? Or sure. Wearing masks. And that seems to be a pretty hot topic right now. And my stance is just like, look, wearing a mask is going to help protect somebody else. And why wouldn't you just make that sacrifice?
Yeah. It's a new part of our reality.
Yeah. I mean, hey, maybe you don't like wearing a mask. Okay. Maybe it's uncomfortable. Maybe you get hot. You know what? You can tough it out.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to get
for 20 minutes while you're in the store or wherever.
Right.
It's not that bad. So
right. I just finished gluing rhinestones on my Raiders mask.
You bedazzled your mask?
Yeah. It's Los Angeles Raiders shit.
Okay.
Las Vegas Raiders. Come on.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas.
They got
NFL's going to lose a couple teams over this shit.
They got shorted the draft. I don't think we can go down this road. We're going to lose McDivitt, Chris, if we start talking about the NFL draft. But I will say this.
Much less the rest of our listeners, because we spoke 13 minutes about the NBA. Speculated 13 minutes about the NBA.
Fair enough. But I will say that it was incredible to have the NFL draft on last weekend. This showing about. Yeah. I wish I was better at considering our listeners. I just like to talk to you guys. So I don't know why we record it and put it out there, but the NFL draft last weekend, it was a glimpse of normalcy. Even though it was weird, it wasn't the normal draft setup.
I thought they did a good job with that. Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
I think they said 55 million people tuned in. Mm-hmm. So your listeners probably watched too.
Yeah, everybody. What else was on? It was literally, unless you've been into like the NASCAR e-racing, I haven't seen live television. I mean, none of us have seen live TV in forever.
They have had, and man, Chris, I think it would be cool if you could somehow get yourself on something like this. But like, if you've been noticing, there's been live music with the stars lately, which I think is that shit warms my heart, man. I haven't watched any now to be granted, but there've been several of them. There was one last night from like the Smithsonian. They sponsored it with
like concerts, basically, right? Where artists are collaborating. There's Jack Johnson has a really well-developed foundation out here called the Kakua Foundation, and they do like an annual festival. I don't know if you guys, Jack Johnson, but he's Hawaii guy, lives up here on the North Shore. Yeah, that's what some of his music sounds like. But
that's his line.
He's super, super community oriented, and this Kakua Foundation is all about good stuff. And they just did it last weekend, and yeah, same thing, man. Like he's sharing remote screens with like Ziggy Marley. I don't know where Ziggy Marley is in the world, but like they're playing a song together. It just talk about normalizing all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I'm looking at something and Michelle Obama's looking at the same thing, that hasn't happened to me that many times in my life. Like the reality is there's only so much content worth looking at right now. So we're all tuned into the same shit.
Speaking of concerts, so I bought tickets to see Lupe Fiasco. He was supposed to come in March.
Okay.
You guys fans?
Yeah, I like Lupe. I
do this, man.
That was an inside joke.
Poetically, I appreciate Lupe.
So I get these tickets. It's for his food and liquor tour. So he's doing his first album, mainstream album in its entirety. But they canceled the show. Then they rescheduled it for June. And I just got an email today that said, hey, the concert's still on and you have 30 days to request a refund. What do you think I should do? Because I feel like in June,
we're not going to request a refund. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to be
not going to be time yet.
Right?
No.
Yeah. I don't know.
And these
I got to admit, man, when it happens, when it happens, are they just going to pull everyone go out and do whatever? Or like slowly, like who's No, I know they can't do that. But like who's going to...
Well, they're starting like Delta published their stuff today. Well, they started to just publish things like kind of similar, like what Chris was saying about like, the subject being like everybody having to wear a mask or having to do this. Yeah. So I think it'll be, there will be a regional thing, but then the venue itself will also set the thing. So probably I'm going to guess it's seat by seat by seat, right? So the thing will be weird will be like 2 seats in a row or one at a time at a concert. Like if it's you and your girl, like assumptively you're going to want to sit next to each other.
I mean, I don't know how that's going to work.
That's what I mean. Tough. At some point, things are so far from the norm. I'm curious if they're worth continuing to participate in. You know what I mean?
Like, I have to.
I'm getting my refund. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I wouldn't be sold on that
August,
either.
if it was August, maybe it's a different
A
answer.
little more
But
hope.
And this is the one, and like I don't get to go to a lot of concerts, but this is the one concert I'm like, yo, I'm gonna spend a good chunk of money for some great seats, like front row kind of vibe. And now I can't even go.
That sucks.
Well, I could, but I could also get the coronavirus.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think that show's happening, but I like that they're optimistic about it. I mean, I don't know how many concerts are happening in June.
Yeah, but it was too optimistic. Like the email was just like too optimistic. Like, they're like, hey, if you can't make it, sell your tickets to someone. And at the very bottom is like, you got 30 days to request a refund.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, like if you got that, you know way more about this than we would, but like if you already paid the artist his advance and you have all these venues built, like it's probably, or build, sorry, it's probably not that clear what you're supposed to do with your business, right? So like you're probably just trying to get some revenues, you know? So whatever the value of your ticket is, if I could get you to spend that money or commit that money, then at least I have some idea what I could do.
Yeah. And, you know, different artists, it could be different things. Some you may have to pay in full. Some you may have to put a deposit down. I've heard a lot about, you know, you put down maybe 50% or maybe less, maybe more. And that's usually non-refundable.
Yeah.
Like you're making not going to get that back.
Free money.
Well, yeah, Lupe done spent that shit, man, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
it's gone.
Bought some shoes.
Yeah, you can't be mad at him. Speaking of shoes, I've ignited.
Right?
Delivery man's coming.
I want to talk about that before we go. What have you all been buying yourself or, you know, treating yourself during this strange time? I've been buying shoes.
My man sent me some coffee. The Dirty Bird. There's another shout out. I got some coffee I was excited about. I've kind of my Nespresso addiction has gone to another level. I feel like such a nerd. I've been buying a lot of plants and like growing a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay. All right.
That's the truth.
Yeah, mine's been espresso, right? So I just as they shut Italy down, my espresso machine was delivered. So I had like saved and shopped and all this. So I got that. And so that, you know, we talked about this a bunch, but like I'm a coffee addict for sure. And then otherwise my other main addiction always is sneakers. So I've done like reasonably well with them, you know. This week was a tough week.
Wait. Let's back up. What does that mean? Reasonably well.
Well, we'll see. I think I probably only ordered 4 pairs since we started.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
All right.
What?
So in the last month and a half, you've ordered 4 new pairs of shoes.
Oh yeah.
You can't have you worn any of them, or do you just look at them every day?
I haven't worn any of them. No. I will wear them. wear them.
I know you don't put them in a case. I love you for that, McDivitt. You're not just going to hang them on the wall. But Chris,
there's a few of them that are in cases that I don't wear, but it's mostly because I'm embarrassed to wear them.
You got a budding addiction, or what's going on, Chris?
Yeah, you know what? I love shoes. Now, I'm not necessarily on Ryan's level. I mean, he's like probably 2 or 3 levels above me, but I buy a bunch of Converse Chuck Taylors, so I'm huge on those.
Nice.
So I bought a pair that just came out, so that was really cool. I like dress shoes though too. Now this is like the old man in me, so I got some Cole Haans, you know.
Bro, that's an expensive game to play though, dude.
But you know what? They're on sale now. You know, they're like, hey, come on.
Yeah.
So 40% off, 50% off. Yeah. That's
so what? How many pairs you bought?
Okay. 2. I bought.
All right. Well, but see, I can see the look in your face. I can see how excited you are about it. Like
it's hard though when that 40% off shit
is hard.
And like
gotta get it.
Yeah.
Gotta go. That's a
really
no-brainer, dude.
They know.
But what's up with the plant game? You know, like, you know, they got some deals. Buy 2, get 1 free. What?
I'm just like you guys, man. Like I get into something and I get really into it. So I've got like 35 succulents out back that I just planted in the past couple weeks. I've been My wife is like giving me shit at this point because I'm just like growing everything I can. Like, oh, why throw this head of lettuce, this leftover lettuce
Yeah.
away? I want to see if I can sprout something in it. And I don't know why. It really feeds me. It entertains me. I get to like look at something changing every day. Someone was making fun of me because I found a caterpillar recently and they were like, whoa, this is coronavirus shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how bored are you? And I don't have the heart to be like, this is
just my
the
normal
most
stuff.
exciting thing
I
that has
just like
happened to me
caterpillars, man.
in the past year. Okay. So take your projections elsewhere.
Ryan, when you see a pair of shoes, like, what is it that draws you to that particular shoe, and you're just like, yo, I gotta buy it?
Oh, that's a good question. I stalk them. There's different types of shoes, right? So there's shoes that are collector shoes that are
Wait,
like,
wait. You see how he said that? That's how an expert talks. Like, he's
No,
gonna break
bro.
it down
Like
for us.
you, Chris, I'm surprised you went down this road. I don't
I
think you
know.
even know how deep this is a long road, my
this
man.
just became a 2-part episode, probably.
Oh
Right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so the, the sneakers that I buy that are like release, I will. It's just a matter of whether you get them or not. So like those are mostly either Yeezys, which I'm into, right, or Jordans of some sort, or Air Max of some sort.
Mhm.
And so those are my like, it's you get they all drop at 10 a.m. on some day. And for the most part, what I do is I get my couple devices out, my phone or my computer and my iPad, and I get into the store and I try to buy them. The other kind of shoes, like what I've been buying recently, is usually like more like when they come on sale or there's some kind of like cool opportunity. So I usually stalk them for a couple days, but there's only so many that I know that are out there that I want to buy. So there'll be Jordan 1s, which are like my recent like biggest probably obsession, and then also like just different. If there's a 40% off sale and like they got the right size, that's like they're I only get the rare ones, I guess is what I'm gonna say. So, and then I'd buy like beaters too, which I guess everybody does. And those are the ones I wear every day, right? Like I have this whole like bunch of shoes that a bunch of them, like I said, I'm like embarrassed to wear them, but I just buy them because they're fucking cool.
Do you ever buy used shoes?
No, never have.
Okay.
That's a big thing. I have a new mentee who is out, and I've been helping him try to build his business, and he does a bunch of used shoes.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
I
he's
buy dead stock
selling them
only.
too.
Yeah,
Dead stock only. Do you think everyone knows what the hell that means?
everybody knows dead stock, man. DS, baby. That means that's an authentic shoe that's it's not been sold other than, or I'm sorry, it's not been used other than out the box.
This is what the show is really about. It's about me really showing the real Ryan to the world. He's this buttoned up, professional dude with a serious sneaker addiction and
Yeah.
coffee addiction. And like
I found out recently there's a couple people from my work that have listened to this, and they know more about me than maybe I'm used to knowing, or I'm maybe even comfortable with in some perspective. So
that's
cool though.
thing.
I'm gonna keep being vulnerable with it. I think all in all, this is a win. But yeah, no, that's you're right about that a little bit.
Sorry to totally change subject here, but I don't think, all right. So this is my transition. I don't think that all this time spent on Amazon or elsewhere, if depending on how deep you go, I don't think it's a negative. I don't think it is. Like, I think there's a level of consumerism that gives us good feelings, and anything that gives you good feelings, just maybe don't take too much, right? But to transition from what is some people calling just a very negative thing, right? Everyone's just buying crazy right now. We're still hustling because you're still able to buy shoes. Ryan's still working every day. Chris, all right. So for anyone who doesn't remember and for some reason hasn't listened to Game Ready with Chris Harris, Chris he's a professional musician. And I include professional because he doesn't just play a guitar on the beach. Like, this dude works every day.
Blah, blah,
He's
blah.
putting out music every single day, including the past few days. Chris is too humble and quiet to brag himself, so I'll do it for him. He released a track recently, and I'm going to paraphrase this, because I think this is like one of the things that I'm so amazed by you, Chris, is like this guy's sitting around and creates a track about social distancing. I think maybe he initially just wrote it and then you floated it out there to some people and they're like, yeah, we want that. We want to buy it. We also want to pay you to make a music video for it. So like, it's one thing to like want to do some shit. It's another to do it, and to do it well enough to get paid for it. So just today, or was it yesterday evening, Chris released the full track. We're gonna figure out a way to share it on the feed, but I'm looking at his Instagram today, and there's like, I don't even know if people that you know well are like, oh my God, we got to get this on the Ellen show. Like, so this is going to be the last time Chris picks up.
Oh, get out of here.
I can't guaranteed.
Stop. No, I really appreciate that. Yeah, this song, Social Distance, it started by a friend of mine from college. He was doing an independent film project on social distancing. He was just trying to do something fun. And he said, hey, can you make a song for this movie? And I'm like, yeah, why not? So that just, got my gears turning. And I came up with this song with my business partner, Dan. And then, I thought about it and I said, you know what? I should see if maybe one of the music libraries wants to have this song, because all the commercials that we see, they're talking about what we're going through right now, right? So I hit them up, and within like 20 minutes, they like respond back like, yeah, we want to buy this song. So I'm like, great. As long as my friend can still use it in the movie.
I was just going to say, does OG still get access to it? He doesn't have to pay for it? All right.
Yep. So they're like, yep, you had that deal in place beforehand. So, and that's what started. And then, with the song, they wanted to do something that was visual as well. But I think what they were, envisioning was basically I'm on a computer or like on a cell phone, just playing a guitar, right? Or not playing a guitar, but basically just rapping the song to my cell phone.
Yeah.
And instead, I got this girl named Robbie. She's an actress and director in Cleveland. And she really helped put together this music video from all of her contacts from like all over Cleveland and really all over the US. And we just told people what we wanted them to do and put it out there. So it was cool.
Oh, it's so cool, man. Like the collaborative work behind the scenes. I don't even want to get into that. I can't imagine how difficult that was. But the final product is it's amazing. Like I at first I thought it was just going to be like, oh, this brightens my day, but like, no, man. Like the lyrics, I freaking love the lyrics. Like I did laugh a few times.
We can all relate to it. I feel like there are a lot of punchlines in that song to where people can just relate. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going through this, right? Or whether you're stuck at home with the kids just going crazy, or, you have a beard that's looking scruffy like mine, or whatever it is, Oh,
I loved it. That's how I started my day today this morning. I checked out the social distancing. Yeah. I mentioned earlier that I was old, so it takes me a second to go to the account and then figure out that I had to go to Instagram TV to watch the whole video. Well worth it. So check that out.
We'll share the YouTube link.
That works. Well, fellas, is this it? Is this the end of the appy, as we so to speak?
Whatever we want to do.
Good time.
Yeah. The missus is really excited because the local restaurant, I'm not going to specify which one because I don't really think this is legal, but they're doing carry out drinks.
Oh
yeah, we have those here.
We have those too.
Yeah. Really? All right. I mean, but since when is that legal? Just
since the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like we're going to go and get like 32 ounces of margarita and then probably take that to the beach or something. Like
that might be added to my plan. There's a nice Mexican restaurant like literally right across the street. I like that idea, ordering a pitcher of margaritas.
Nicole's been excited. You know what? I don't care. Cholos. That's where we're going. That's the name of the restaurant on the North Shore of Hawaii.
Isn't that some sort of a slur?
I thought it was too, but I mean, that's the name of a restaurant. I'm not calling anyone that. I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
I'm not touching this one.
No, man.
And that's a wrap.
And
yeah, pretty much. I could show you the logo, and I think we'll all be on the same page of what the connotation is, but it's the little logo you see on a lot of those lowrider trucks.
Oh, boy.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to get into any more specifics of it, but yeah, I don't know how they got away with naming their restaurant that. Remember that coffee shop in Michigan back in the day, McDivitt?
Beaners, man.
Chris, this is for real, bro. Like,
this is for real.
It was regional, but I mean, how many of them? 50 plus, you think, right?
Oh, I bet there's like 250 now. It's called Big B Coffee.
Now it's called
Big B in Cleveland, probably. Maybe not in Cleveland, but it's in Ohio for sure.
Well, yeah, like it was Beaners Coffee.
Beaners. Yeah,
like, and
straight up.
I think maybe one day, someone was just like, I take offense to this.
Yeah, like
it was when we were in college. I remember having like marketing classes about it.
Oh, really? I thought it happened after we left college, because I just came home one day and there were no more Beaners anymore, but
Big B.
They had rebranded to Big B. Yeah, because they make good coffee. Like, it was a pretty decent coffee spot. Wasn't it East Lansing?
Yeah.
Originator? It's from East Lansing, right?
Yeah. Michigan State. 24-hour coffee shop.
So it's not just some small Mexican restaurant in Hawaii that gets away with stuff.
What a way to end our first fucking show.
People have different, connotations with different words. It might be a lovely term in some homes.
I don't know either, Chris.
I don't know.
I don't know. Listen, this is it. Convention Not. We're out. Follow us. Have a good night.